I'm Chris Yandek. Today on CYInterview, we have the great privilege of having the one, the only Las Vegas-based singer Skye Dee Miles is on with us tonight on CYInterview, a woman who has made her name in Las Vegas and the entertainment capital of the world for more than a decade, and of course made her name in many other cities across the United States of America, but she makes her home here in Las Vegas. Skye, it is so fun to always talk with you and interact with you. Thanks for being on CY
Thank you,
Interview tonight.
Chris.
How are you?
I'm good. Can other people see us?
No, this is a
Okay,
this is a recording. They'll see us later,
good.
basically.
Okay,
So,
great.
of course they're gonna see
I
us.
have
This is
bags under my. Well, yeah, I know. I saw the live. Okay. Hi,
they can't
Chris.
they can't see us yet, but they will see us soon
But
when I
they
put this up
will.
on YouTube. Okay, so to begin, just as a quick question, I think so much about your career and your life, and so many of your fellow entertainers in Las Vegas just have so many nice things to say about you, of course, including Mecca, who we had on a couple of weeks
I
ago on
love
this.
Mecca.
She's
Sweetheart.
wonderful. And there's so many others that have said wonderful things about you over the years I've seen on social media and beyond. So my question is that, it's one thing to be able to sing a song and perform, which you do quite well, but you have this ability to connect with people, and not all entertainers have that ability. Where does that come from?
Mm, I think it comes from. I think it's a gift from God. I think it's part of my purpose. I didn't know what to call it at one time. I remember I was at Beach Bank in Babylon in the show, and I had quit and came back because I was like the third, understudy. And I felt like I'm never gonna, be a principal here. Those ladies are so good that I'm the understudy for. And I remember when I came back, my director, Kenny Maslow at the time, told me, you have something very special, unique. You have stage presence. And I thought I didn't really know what that was, even though I was singing, I was, in my early 20s. I didn't really know what that meant. And I didn't know that it wasn't something that everybody had. So it was from that moment I tried to hone in on what that meant. Stage presence. Then what am I doing this for? So if you put those two together, I mean, I grew up in the church. I it's the greatest teaching lesson, especially the black church, when it comes to performance and connecting. I used to laugh like if you didn't make sister so and so's wig fall off, you didn't sing, you weren't connecting to them. It's all a call and response kind of relationship in the church. So I think that I was just born into it in a sense. And I, as you grow in this business and you mature, you just realize, oh, there's a story to be told. It's not about, oh, can I hit the greatest note? It's not always about that. It's not always about um, throw your hands up and party. When you learn that there are people hurting, even if they're partying at the same time that we've all lived that, you can have a tragedy and a joy at the very same time of your life. You begin to tell those stories. So as you learn your audience, I had my first what do you call it, lounge gig at Tropicana, and so many people would come and say, "Oh my God, I just survived cancer. I just lost my wife. I just lost my husband, and you touched me." And when I knew that I had a responsibility and that the message of love, and for me, God's love, didn't just mean at church, I started to just build from that. Long answer to the question. So,
I think it's a phenomenal answer, and it really says a lot about you. But aside from that, I think then we jump into this part where you've got the talent, you've got the ability to connect to an audience. But I think the thing that people also recognize with you is they recognize this reality that you have just continued to be a staying power in Las Vegas. And tell me about that.
it's interesting. I just had a conversation with one of my girlfriends that I met when I first came to Vegas, and we did Menopause the musical together, which I didn't know what menopause is about then. too young for that show, but I spent 5 years in it. And she just told me to that I needed to take a minute to recognize all my accomplishments and to sit with it, because a lot of times I forget because I'm on to the next thing. And I think we all can be guilty of that at some time. Because, and one thing my mom used to always tell me is, you've done a lot, Skye. You've done a lot. But when you're in it and you're like, oh no, I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to get to Broadway, or I'm trying to get to the Grammys, or I'm trying to get to the Tonys, or to world domination, whatever that looks like, you miss out on your successes, that when you used to just want to be a part of a band and you finally get in the band. Then you want to be a band leader and you finally become the band leader. Then you want your own show and you get different, but you're always thinking it's the next thing that you're working towards instead of being in the thing that you are in. Um, so I'm at, you're asking me that question at a time when I'm actually reflecting on um, the staying power. What does that look like? I think
Sure.
a lot of my staying power is, I didn't know not to want the things that I wanted. I didn't know the obstacles. Like when I moved to Vegas, I didn't know that there wasn't a black woman on the strip. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't know that you couldn't be a big girl. You know, I didn't know that I was too short. I didn't know that enough to let it be an interruption or a distraction. You know, you find out, but I didn't know it. I just started going after what I wanted.
I think, though, for me, it's just that you've had this impressive resume spanning a long period of time. And of course, we look back to your, your residency at the Palms Midnight Sky
Yeah.
recently, and it's just, you're just, again, like as an individual performer, you're doing your own thing. You have these productions, you have these opportunities. You look at the marquee outside and there you are up at the Palms. I live right down the road there, at
Right.
the other end on Spring Mountain Road on Chinatown. And the funny thing, I can tell you this, and this is a funny thing that you probably wouldn't believe, but um, I would go outside at night to go do something quickly, and you can hear you all the way down the road, literally. And I
Oh
could
God,
hear
that's
you,
crazy.
and I really could. And then there would be some nights where maybe I think I was walking home one night from across the street from an event at the Rio, because I live right down the road, and I
Oh,
could
okay,
hear you,
yeah.
of course, looking above, and I'm like, what is that? Or who is that? I'm like, oh, of course. So,
Yeah.
the point is that for me, you were part of my neighborhood here. But to get to the point, the question is that it's just like, I think your fellow artists in town see the confidence that you have, see the abilities that you have, and they see that you're also a businesswoman who is able to get things done. And aside from getting the recognition, you're getting to do the things that you love without apology. And I think that is one reason why people admire you so much here.
Yeah, I'm hearing that. So it's taking me a minute to process what you're saying, because a lot of these things, I'm just, people, more and more people are saying it to me. Because when you're doing what you love to do, you're not thinking about all the reasons why you're doing it, even though there have been reasons. Like, I used to come from a place of, I had to prove myself. There was a time when you're like, I got to prove that I can do it if I'm a big girl. I have to prove a black woman can do that. You definitely come from that at some point in your life to show. But once you've learned that you even prove it to yourself, now I'm not at a place where I feel like I have to prove. I just need to be able to do it. And those who are able to receive it, um, great. Those who don't, it's okay too. And I'm not where I want to be, but I'm definitely proud of the things that I have accomplished. Um, I'm still learning in the business, because it's not an easy business. It's not an easy business for a woman. It's not an easy business for uh, a black woman. So that's just the facts. But you keep going and you find. I remember I used to have a prayer like, God, I
Mm.
I want to be able to be called and not have to audition and prove myself. And I remember that happened when I went over to Holly Madison show. They came to see me, and that was my first time I felt like somebody saw me and wanted me, and I didn't have to prove anything. And I think when you get to a place of knowing you don't have anything to prove, you can spend that extra time on your product, which is yourself and what you're trying
Sure.
to say.
Yeah, and I think from there, taking it to the next part, now I'm going to reflect on something for me personally is when we were at After Dark Brian Newman last July,
Yes.
you come up, I think you came up like after 1 a.m. in the morning
Right.
and sung this unbelievable 10 minutes. And the thing for me was at that moment in time is that there was an event a couple years prior to that I was at where you had shown up, and the minute that you had shown up, everybody had like turned their eyes to you, that like you were in the room, and I knew who you were at that point. I hadn't seen you perform yet, but
Right.
I knew who you were, and I was just like, well, you could just see that you commanded a level of respect among the people in Las Vegas who are in the entertainment scene and other people who work here in the entertainment community. And for me, when I saw that song, for me personally, when you were singing, it resonated with me so much about all the things that had happened leading up to the coronavirus pandemic in March of 2020. To that moment, you had brought out so many feelings and reflections in me that I had not thought about. It was very beautiful, honestly, because as obviously that impacted all of us in so many different ways. And you just brought out a feeling of me that I really hadn't thought about. And it was tremendous. It was an unbelievable 10-minute performance. And, aside from that, you're going to be going back to New York to work with
Yeah.
Brian. What was it
Yeah.
like? New York got to borrow you for a night on New Year's Eve. What was that like? And now what is it like to go back to perform with Brian and work with Brian in general? He's just so phenomenal.
It is very exciting because a lot of people don't know that I was actually moving to New York before I moved to Las Vegas. But it was like another day, another interview. But it was like I ended up getting sick, and I lived in California at the time, and I just happened to say, "Well, I'll go to Vegas," because it was close to visit. I was just coming out here to not even visit, a vacation, I guess, because I was on disability and it was like a lot going on, and I fell into a
Understandable.
depression after being sick. And I mean, so I really ended up being in Vegas because of the medical things. It was I knew it was time to leave California, but I didn't have the same withal, I guess you could say, to go to New York because I was so down from what had happened from the hospital and everything like that. So I ended up in Las Vegas. I said I'm going to go out, audition for these shows that are on this list of paper, and I auditioned for Menopause the Musical, and I got it. So
Yeah.
I moved to I moved to Las Vegas, but my dream had always been Broadway since I was a little girl. So to go and finally do a show in New York where you're invited and a very nice venue, it was surreal. It's a testament that you can have these dreams, these visions, these goals. They may not happen when you think they're going to happen, or they may not even happen in the way that you've seen it happening. But for me, it is happening, because to even be invited back is such an honor. Brian can ask thousands of singers to come and sing with him in New York, and he chose me for New Year's Eve, and he chose me to come back. He's for about 8 more dates through the year.
Well,
So
I think it's wonderful. Can you just tell us very quickly about the venue before we move on?
yeah, it's called the Amman. It's the Amman Jazz Club. It's connected to the hotel, the Amman Hotel. So you can look it up on Google. Very, very, posh, very beautiful venue. For New Year's Eve, I had a 10-piece small orchestra, Brian's orchestra, and his wife performed. It was just very cozy, and it's very much like the new venues that are coming to Vegas, the smaller supper clubs that allow you to have the intimate musical relationship with the audience. So,
Follow-up question to that. Are you surprised that we're going back to the intimate form of entertainment, or do you think it's just a combination of low production and economics, but also just to make it simpler to have a smaller group of people to work with. Do you think that's what it is, or do you think it's something else?
I think it's some maybe it's twofold. For me, because I was with I was with Rose Rap Alive for 7 years, and they started this what 9 years ago. It feels like kind of people are late to it because I felt
Mm.
Rose Rap Alive really was the beginning of the smaller kind of immersive, interactive, the new supper clubs, I'll say.
Yeah.
Um, I think that people are doing it probably more for, like you said, the maintenance of it.
I think every resort should have one. I just think it's wonderful that we have
I
them
Yeah,
because
I think
all of you guys have more of a
yes.
chance to show yourself individually. But I'm just wondering what the reason is because we've seen over the last like 12 to 18 months, there's just so many of them now. And
I
I think
know
it's
they're popping
wonderful.
up. They're popping up everywhere. I think that people see that there is a connection to feeling cool, feeling like you're a part of a vibe. I always call it being exclusively inclusive. You know, you can
Intimate entertainment.
intimate, yes, intimate entertainment. It's a little bit different than the lounges because it's closed in. It's not so many like the distractions of people walking around and kind of listening and kind of not listening. Here, you are there to listen, you know, and that's what I do like. Um, I like to see people, you know, allow the entertainers to um, be themselves and be authentic and not turn everything into like a party vibe per se, because there's something special, you know. And I think even Brian bringing his show here, I think people were able
Oh, it was
um,
amazing.
to see that people want to listen if you give them that opportunity to come and experience the music, not just enjoy it. They will. I think that what Vegas maybe what happened is that we dumbed down entertainment
Mm.
because we just wanted this to be like it's a party town, it's a party town. And sometimes they mix up what you can do with a DJ, what you can do with a band, which is not the um, same thing. They both have their place here, but there's a human connection that we forget that people are still people even when they come to Las Vegas, and they're here to escape every emotion, not just party for 4 days and get sick and forget their trip. They want to have an experience as well.
I,
So
I think that goes back to my point of the first question that I asked you at the top of the CY interview is that your ability to understand the human connection with people, which I think is extraordinary, and a few things. So I haven't been there yet. So is this Easy's Club at the Aria? Is this one of these little intimate settings? Is it fair to say?
it's very intimate. I think they hold about 80 people, maybe at one time. I think they can go up to more depending on what kind of event it is. It's very intimate. It's fun. You know, it's sexy. It's cool. You want to, you're sitting close to people. You can say hello to another table, and I'm definitely wanting my nights because there's different entertainment on during the week to be more of a listening, like that they feel like they walked into like, who's this unknown person? You know, I don't have to be Beyonce to be, you know, um, somebody to
Mm.
listen to, but oh wow, they come in like we
Mhm.
didn't expect this. And I get that a lot. Even when I was at the Ghost Bar, the Shag Room, people just sometimes Las Vegas gets a bad rap on the quality that we have here in Las Vegas of entertainment. So sometimes they're just shocked because they're used to like just party bands maybe. So they walk in, they're like, "Oh my God, I didn't know I was gonna have this emotional moment." I did Girls Just Want to Have Fun, where I had like it's like starts
Yeah.
off slow and it goes fast, and this woman told me it was the highlight of her hard working day. So you just have to. For me, I go in just to do what I know to do. So I say no to certain gigs because those gigs are not for me. But you learn that along the way, like, you know, there you might want to put your hands up for a few songs, but now we want to be quiet. We want to be silent. We want to take a moment and just reminisce. Because I live by, if you're not having a memory, laughing, crying, or dancing, then I haven't done my job. Those should be the four emotions that I evoke at some point of the night.
I do have one objection though. People do
Okay.
know who you are. If you're on a marquee at a major
Okay.
resort like the Palms, people know who you are. And secondly, most people have never been in a Drake or Lil Wayne music video.
Oh, that's true.
What were those experiences like working with first Drake and then Lil Wayne? Tell me about
Well,
those.
I was with Lil Wayne first. They were looking for a big girl who was funny and who was older. And they left a message for my producer at Menopause Musical. We were like on vac. There must have been like we were off for more days than normal. So we got back and he just happened to get it, and they needed me the next day. But I didn't know it was Lil Wayne at the time. They just said a hip hop video, so I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I don't know if I want to be twerking out, like on a video, some
Oh,
unknown rapper because I didn't know who it was. So
yeah.
I got the message. They're like, "Can you come by the hotel?" And I was like, "I'm not coming to a rapper's hotel." But I could tell they like were young and um, they were a little bit more professional. The people that were on the phone. So I said, "Okay, I'll come by." So I had to do this whole little audition just to see what I look like on camera. And we did the video the next day. He's very nice. He's very charming. People probably don't know that about him. He chose like what you had to send in looks, and he chose like what hair he wanted me to wear. But at the time, because I'd never done a video, I didn't know that I was even a cameo. I'm just thinking, oh, I'm just one of the girls in
Hmm.
the video, and then one other video girls are more popular. She's like, no, like you're a cameo, like you have like a prime role, and it was an experience. But at the time, I didn't have, I still don't have representation. So a lot of things, amazing things that I've been able to do, I wasn't able to bounce off from because of probably lack of representation as far as management and things like that. But the company that hired me, they did call me for Drake's video, which I didn't know who he was at the time, but Lil Wayne was in that video as well.
Yep.
So, and the Lollipop video was exciting. It was in Vegas. I had to go to LA for the other one, and it was new. Like they were all new. Like he was a new artist, so it was like a lot of his Drake's friends around. So that was really like the video shoot you didn't want to be, like whatever you hear about video shoots and hip hop, and I'm like was a little older than the rest of the girls. So, but the management team, the video management, they really liked my work. So they like were the guys that said we want this girl. They would always like, we need Skye here. They would bring me up to be in other parts because other guys, they were like they just was trying to see what girls they can get. That's all. So, but I loved them. I didn't have any clue that the video was gonna be as big as it was.
Yeah.
I I just went and did a job, you know.
But
And
again, these are things that most people will never have experiences with. And, I think that I'm just going to say to you, you know, Brian Newman, of course, is Lady Gaga's band leader. And
right.
hopefully he'll bring Brian Newman After Dark back to the Park MGM, maybe
Yeah.
sometime this year. Brian does his best to round up the best entertainment in Las Vegas to show a tighter crowd like a best of Las Vegas in one
Right.
show. So why wouldn't you be there? Like, why wouldn't Skye get a 10-minute solo? I mean, if you're not there, then it's not the best of Las Vegas. It's as simple as that.
Well, because the funny thing was Brian, I was supposed to do his show before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And people have referred me, but I think they didn't really know still like, know me. I was kind of hidden away at Roosevelt Alive. People have referred, but I hadn't got the call yet to come or do any of those things. So
Yeah.
after the pandemic, when I came in, then it was like, oh, this is Skye. And then we built a relationship from there. And my work proceeded, it proceeded itself, I guess you could say. So,
But it's well
yeah.
deserved, is my point. I'm just trying to say, it's well
Thank you.
deserved.
I had to work on receiving. I had to work on receiving uh,
Compliment.
compliments and because and no, it's not fake or anything. It's just like it's just something that I think we have to learn to do sometimes. And because it's some of the things are just so authentic for me to do, I think it's just my natural self.
Hmm.
So when people remind me that I touched them, I sometimes forget like, oh, it. And I was a counselor before. I worked in criminal justice, so I think that's always been a part of me to help other people. And you put that along with music and my spiritual beliefs. It's like you can find any moment to touch somebody, and if I'm not touching them, I just have like an assembly line job. I'm basically doing karaoke. If I'm not here to with a purpose and I'm just doing karaoke, that's how I feel.
I think it's a very well stated point. So we're going to wrap up with two things. First, I'm glad that you're going to get to go back to New York.
Me
Who
too.
knows who's in the crowd? Maybe there'll be somewhere there for a
Somebody
Broadway
there, give me
show
some
or an
investors so I
off-Broadway
can
show. You never know.
never know.
Anything is possible, of course. That's one. And then number two, when are you performing at Easy's Club at the Aria, and where else are you performing currently, and where can they see you in Las Vegas?
I'm at Easy's pretty much scheduled for Saturday nights
What time
with
does it
no,
start?
yeah, ongoing. Saturday nights at 9 p.m. I do some Fridays, but I'm definitely there on Saturday nights.
Okay.
Easy's at the Aria. It's behind a donut shop. And I have the New York dates with Brian, a few of those this summer. And
Hmm.
then I'm just working on Midnight Sky, the Boom Boom Room, trying to refresh the show, find another venue for it, or actual. My dream is to a stage production is what my ultimate dream is for Las
Hmm.
Vegas. With the Elvis lights that spell sky. That's my. So I'm working on that. So I'm just finding maybe another place for Midnight Sky to revive. It was a great show. It was a lot of people are asking for it again, and we'll land again somewhere. So now you just need a little woosah anyway. Take a break, recreate, revisualize, and come back out.
Not a lot of individual talents have a production that went as long as it did at the Palm, so you should be very happy
Thank
with
you,
yourself
Chris.
and your efforts. It is a phenomenal show, and also on a side note, it was also off strip, and you had a big crowd the night I was there, and saw other nights where you had big crowds.
We had a lot of big crowds.
So
We did.
you
We were
should
successful.
so you should be very proud of yourself as always, because again, it's one thing to be part of somebody else's production. It's another thing to have to run the production yourself and orchestrate something that a crowd is going to like, that is going to get good reviews, and is going to have people wanting to see it and come back, which I know many people went to see it multiple times
Yeah,
and really enjoyed. You had a packed room. I mean, there was nowhere to sit. People were standing room only,
I know.
that
I
so
know.
you should be very grateful with yourself.
I am very proud of myself. Sometimes the politics makes you forget that you were successful, but we were, and
You have to fight through it. That's
I
what it
know.
comes
I
down
appreciate
to.
that. You're gonna make me
You have
cry. I
you
appreciate
have
it.
to just have the perseverance. And the thing is in closing, this is the last thing I'm going to say to you with show business. It's a rejection industry, so you're going to go for 10 auditions and you're going to get one, but you're only going to remember the one that you got, right?
Right.
Isn't that the
That's how I
real
believe.
reflection? And are you surprised you're still here in Las Vegas?
Hadn't thought about it. I'm not really surprised because I'm not finished yet. Like I said, I never had a chance to think about what I was doing. No, because once I realized what I was doing was important, and some of the things I was doing was historical, and some of the things that I was doing, I had to keep doing for all those people that shoulders who I walk on. No, I'm not surprised because I still have something to say and do here in Las Vegas. So no.
I'm going to say in closing, if you like this video, please like it below and please subscribe for more CY interview content. And if you're in Las Vegas, look up Miss Skye Dee Miles and go see her at Aria and the other great venues she performs. And I hope, you know, when you go back to New York, maybe you will finally at some point get to achieve that dream, being on a Broadway stage. I really hope that happens for you, because I think that would be a wonderful thing. And it just goes to show you that you don't start maybe where you want to start, but it matters about where you finish. I'll leave you with that.
I love that, Chris. Thank you.
You're very welcome.